Hi, I'm Larry Lester, City Manager with the City of Monroe, Ohio. We're proud to be a part of the Great Miami Riverway Coalition, working alongside our neighbors to build a stronger and more connected region. Monroe is excited to support the shared vision and looks forward to future opportunities for collaboration and growth. Please welcome Jessica Urton from the Trailhead Trader and Hope Wanderers to share her story of helping women from difficult life situations, including abuse, find confidence and empowerment through outdoor adventure and community. Please welcome Jessica Urton, local businesswoman and founder of Hope Wanderers.
Hi, my name is Jessica Urton, and I am the founder and executive director of Hope Wanderers. Hope Wanderers' mission is to help women from difficult life situations to experience outdoor activities. Our goal is to remove all barriers to the healing powers of the outdoors for all women everywhere. We just finished up our first year operating as a nonprofit, and our goal was to help one woman. Well, we surpassed that with our Empowering Outdoors series with activities like archery, Leave No Trace, hiking, and through our adventure grant application on hopewanderers.love, we were able to select 2 women to send on a life-changing yoga, caving, hiking retreat in Carter Cave State Park, Kentucky, with the help of Outdoor Adventure Connection and Adventure Chicks Karen Opp Scholarship Program. We hope to continue our education and our program and only grow into further cities all over the country and all over the world eventually, helping women to find the healing powers of the outdoors, find their voice and find their confidence just by getting outdoors.
I'm Leslie Beavers from Jamestown, Ohio, and I am very appreciative to be an adventure grant recipient with Hope Wanderers. Once I accepted, yes, Leslie, you were chosen, and really leaned into that, then it was really just the excitement around it and knowing I was going to get to push myself, do the caving, do some things that were outside of my comfort zone, and again, just really went in hoping to meet other women and make those connections that have kind of been missing in my life in the last few years, and I did. I moved to Ohio 11 years ago and have been pretty isolated in that move until the last couple of years, and so I have not had the opportunity to really make new friends and a new community here. And so I went in with relatively high expectations of hoping that I would make some of those connections, and I absolutely did. I just hung out with a group last night that I met through this program. I knew I was going to be with a group of women that I didn't know, but that didn't make me nervous. I felt like everybody that was coming to something like this were probably going to be pretty open and ready to adventure together. I was really excited for the hiking, the rappelling. I was very scared of the cave, but I was ready to face it.
My name's Carrie Lintner. I'm from Lebanon, Ohio. I did something for myself, by myself. And the 3 other ladies in my cabin, we just all connected. We would all sit and just have, chat time and just the crazy experiences, similar things we've been through throughout our lives that we could talk about openly and share. It was wonderful. These type of events, the rock climbing thing that I went to, anything like that just makes you feel stronger, makes you feel empowered, makes you feel like you can do things on your own. Anything that can be done to boost the confidence of women, I think, is awesome.
I started Hope Wanderers in November of 2023, so just recently. We made that video just not too long ago. My goal was to help make sure that there was access for everyone. Not just women, but for everyone too, but specifically women with our organization. But myself, a little bit of story about myself is I have been a hiking guide for the past 4 years. I own the gear outfitter downstairs. I've had many different careers. I'm also a certified yoga instructor. We laughed about that, but that's true. And we use that for fundraising as well. But not only that, the backstory obviously came from somewhere, right? Like how do we figure this out? Sorry, I don't have a little pointy thing, but the whole birth of Hope Wanderers was because of these 3 young ladies right here who are all now grown. I only have one of them that's 17, she's almost 18, not an adult anymore. But I found myself in a difficult life situation at some point in my life when the girls were much younger. And I refused to be the mother that was like, I had to work all these hours. I refused to take my time away from the girls. At that time I was a school bus driver, so I went to school with them every day. I was off all summer. I was that mom, right? And when we found ourselves in this situation that continuously got worse and worse, and it was an abuse situation, and it was an addiction situation on the other end, I said, this is it. It's got to end here. It's got to be done, right? And I looked at those 3 young ladies and I thought the only way that I can ever look at them in the future and say, don't do this, don't do any of this, don't settle for abuse, don't settle for addiction situations, was by leading myself. I knew I could never look at a teenage girl and tell her no, and her look back at me and be like, yeah, well, you're doing it. So I took the leap and I left. And like I said, I refused to be that mom that was like, I had to work 90 hours a week to put you in an apartment. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I just knew there were better options. So I took the path less taken, and I actually raised all 3 of those girls right in Cedar Creek State Park as a camp host. So we were full-time RVers. You hear people talk about that glorious story. It is fun, but it is a hard lifestyle. But we used to build trails at Cedar Creek. We ran my first nonprofit, which was the Friends of Cedar Creek Campground. We did all the activities every weekend. It really was a dream for the girls. They rolled out of bed and went swimming, kayaking, whatever they want, hiking. Everyone asks, are they still very outdoors? They said no. They're like preacher's kids. They went the opposite way. They're in cybersecurity and digital arts and design and all that stuff. They've taken a break from the outdoor industry, which rightfully so. But our common bonding thing was caving, just like those ladies experienced there. And the girls loved to go caving. They loved rappelling. They didn't like climbing, but they loved rappelling. So they would rappel down, watch me climb, and then we'd walk back up. So that is the story behind Hope Wanderers. So what happened is I absolutely knew without a shadow of doubt that there is hope like that for all women everywhere. So this led me into the outdoor industry very quick. I had grew up backpacking and doing all those things as a kid, and this just thrust me into the outdoor industry even further. And I became a hiking guide, like I said, about 5 years ago. I guided for 5 years. And on those trips, so this was actually my favorite poem. What if you slept, and what if in your sleep you dreamed, and what if in your dream you went to heaven and there plucked a strange and beautiful flower, and what if when you awoke you had that flower in your hand? What then? And that spoke to me as you can make anything happen. And I lived my life that way. I lived my life with the girls that way. Things that I refused to do and visions that I had, I actually made those happen by looking at that poem. So the outdoor community was our family. It became our family. I have a sister left in my family, and that's it. And she's in the local area. But other than that, the girls didn't have grandparents from my side of the family. So these are all camp hosts. So we would go to Florida and spend Christmas and camping and doing all those fun things. And that's the girls and a whole other crew building stairs there at Cedar Creek along the beach. So we really, really thrust ourselves into the outdoor industry. And why? Because it was a healthy group. It was a healthy community. And that's why an event like this, and with the Dayton area, that's how I actually got started in the outdoor industry, and we stayed with that community. And Dayton is a huge, healthy outdoor community. And I believe there's especially a lot of women you see in our area, that introducing them to that is a life-changing experience. So I began working for Explorer Chicken Venture Company. So I guided specifically women, 21 and up, all over the world, really, over the past 4 years. There we are in Utah, Yellowstone, all different places. I've been to the Galapagos. I've guided all over the place. And the same commonality I saw in every single one of these women it was life-changing. One of my clients from my Utah trip, she was in corporate America doing the thing she was supposed to be doing. And she left with such inspiration and such gusto. She left her job. I'm not recommending to anybody, but she left her job. She bought a paddleboarding company in Louisville, Kentucky, and she's been running that ever since. And now she's in Miami, Florida, working down there too. So now all of her pictures are her in a bikini on a paddleboard floating around, right? And she does that for a living. So these trips are life-changing. But the one thing I noticed was they're not attainable to everyone. They are very expensive. I think the Yellowstone trip there was $7,000, $8,000, something like that, to go on this guided experience. And I thought I took the leap and went out and did it myself, but not everyone does that. And there's a lot of women that deserve to have feelings, those same life-changing feelings. And that's where the birth of Hope Wonders came from, was taking all these women on those trips there. All right. So our goal at Hope Wonders is to help all women access outdoor adventure and creating a supportive community to women from difficult life situations. That's our overall goal. So a lot of people ask me, the activities that you guys do, the things that you guys do, is it just for women? No. Our scholarship our adventure grant application is specifically for women 21 and up who have had a difficult life situation. Abuse is still something very near and dear to my heart. Those situations are much more difficult. If we deal with transportation issues, childcare issues, things like that, and that's where the funding comes in. But difficult life situations, we've learned, means health problems, money problems, just divorce in general, things like that. Women of color, women of different, all sorts of different backgrounds make it a difficult life situation to accessing outdoor activities. So it almost touches every single woman at some point. So why do we do what we do? I do what I do because I believe, and just like Sarah was talking about earlier, that this is how we move forward into a healthier future. The outdoor activities are otherwise pretty free to access for most of us, right? It seems pretty simple, but for a lot of people it is not. So removing those barriers so that way they have an alternate way of healing. And that's what it is. It's finding the confidence to not go back into situations. I had one of my ladies from an Empowering Outdoors series just call me yesterday. And she said, I'm thinking about calling my ex-husband, who was from an abusive, or he was had an addictive situation. And she said, I hear he's clean. I'm thinking about calling him. What should I do? And she said, I hear you say, Jess, all the time that statistically, and Sarah's got more of the statistics than I do, statistically, we go back. And I said, I can't tell you what to do, but this is my advice, right? But it was just something she remembered from our Empowering Outdoors series. And this was literally just over at Centerville, Washington Park District. We did a Leave No Trace session, and then we would walk around and chat. That's all it was. That's all a lot of our programming is. But in the same, so who do we help? Really, I feel like we help everyone. But with our adventure grant, that helps, like I said, specifically women from difficult life situations. So those women apply, they have a story, we kind of evaluate that story, we have a board that evaluates the story, and we decide who goes on one of those trips. And actually, the gal that's holding the bow there, she has received an adventure grant for this year, for a trip this year. She's a phenomenal gal, and she's been to a lot of our events. This was at Centerville, Washington Park District. This was over in Centerville, and this was an archery program. So we just offered this through our Empowering Outdoors, and it was a super fun event. But yeah, she's found a lot of empowerment from that. Thank you. Thanks, Amy. So what is Hope Wonders up to right now? Boy, have we evolved in a year. We partnered up with a lot of local park systems, Centerville, Washington, Vandalia Rec Center, once they got wind of what I was doing. And we had a series called Empowering Outdoors, if you want to hit that slide. A series called the Empowering Outdoors series which I put the slides in different order. But that's really where we'll just read it as it is. That's really where we started. So we would just go to different parks. We would have an educational aspect, so leave no trace, water filtration, anything like that. And then we would go on a little hike afterwards. And it was just a space specifically for women. And I never thought in a million years that park systems would be like, yes, we actually want something that we can offer specifically to women. So they had that space. And so that's where we started our first year. We ended with, but this year, so this is new this year, our adult recess adventures are actually, so this is our fundraising right now. So each one of these, the cost of it all stays 100% with Hope Wanders, but on every single one of those, there's a scholarship recipient. So that cost for people that can't afford it is actually turning right back around, and it's paying for somebody to travel on one of these adventures. And so they're all different. Of course, there's our caving aspect that we all love. We have an overnight at the zoo in the safari tents with the giraffes. We also have a Red River Gorge backpacking that's not up there, but it's all on our website. And that one is a 2-day down in the gorge. So we provide all of the transportation from here, from Miamisburg. That is our biggest request and limitation for people is transportation, is being able to provide transportation. Right now we're just renting, but that's kind of where our goal is with fundraising, is to get transportation, if you wanna change that. So this year we also created an advisory board, and that advisory board consists of business owners and other people, not just in the outdoor industry, and they help me plan the educational events, fundraising events, but they also fill a table at our brunch. We did an annual brunch this year, and it raised over $10,000 for Hope Wanders, which is phenomenal for our first year. So that gave us the funding we needed to start doing programming and spend more time working on this stuff, right? There was that ladies climb night that Carrie was talking about. That event specifically changed Carrie's life. It absolutely did. And that was just a fundraiser. It was like $40. We did it at Rock Quest down in Cincinnati, and they provided the space for it. And that specific spot, there's a lot of story behind Carrie, but that event really helped her. And Ashley Butler, who's in that picture, she helps me realize the difficult life situation as well too. She's a woman of color in the outdoor industry, and that's difficult for her. It's not easy for you don't realize it until you actually sit and talk to somebody that's in that situation. So I said I wasn't gonna talk about it, but I did decide I was gonna talk about it. So downstairs, Trailhead Trader is my used outfitter, right? It's outdoor gear and apparel consignment. Hope Wanders was born before Trailhead Trader. The purpose of Trailhead Trader was to be a funding source for Hope Wanders. Hope Wanders is my baby. I love it more than I love the store even. And I always say I can hire a teenager to run the store if I need to, even though we have a great professional downstairs right now. But when Hope Wanders collects, say you donate a pair of boots to Hope Wanders, we can either use it to give to someone, or Hope Wanders can sell it right downstairs in Trailhead Trader. Every single month, Hope Wanders is getting a check from Trailhead Trader. Trailhead Trader has raised over $3,000 for Hope Wanders just on consignment items since we opened at the end of June last year, so in less than a year. This is everybody's big question, because this is an incubator space provided by the city of Miamisburg, and I came to them with my genius ideas. He's probably sick of hearing about them. He's sitting back there now. I'm always like, this is my new idea, right? We would like to take Trailhead mobile. So we would like to be able to offer kayaking and things like that, offer more services here in Miamisburg as far as Trailhead goes, but it still will always be a home for Hope Wanders and coordination with the trips and things too. So hopefully that's the future of Trailhead right there. How can our business connections help? Advocacy is the biggest thing. Advocacy is the biggest thing. Of course, there's always the obvious of funding and all of that, but just being a support system is a huge thing. We have all different sorts of businesses that are on our advisory boards and all these different aspects that are functioning with Hope Wanders, and it's what kind of gives Hope Wanders a brain too. Everybody's got a purpose, even if it's printing services, even if it's just any little thing can help Hope Wanders get its word out. I also, since I didn't have enough to do, the Great Outdoors Assembly was born. So GOA, This is something new. I was going to networking events and I was like, nah, this isn't working for me. It works great for the nonprofit for some things, but as far as the store goes and things like that, it wasn't working great. And I'm like, why isn't there a space for just outdoor industry, retailers, leaders, all these different aspects to be able to meet together and network. We should all be leaning on each other even for the purpose of Hope Wanders, we should all be leaning on each other. So I created the Great Outdoors Assembly. That's all I did was create it, come up with a mission. Actually, AI came up with the mission, and I've kind of spread it out to stores, to just all different sorts of things, like anybody that owns a bike shop, Base Camp Outdoors, they're really involved. So this is a space, and if anyone wants to be involved, feel free to email me, for outdoor leaders to network specifically. And I think everybody being along the Great Miami Corridor is a fantastic outlet for that. So we're all kind of showcasing our own stuff. So we'll see you on the trail then. I'm gonna leave you guys some time to ask some questions, but I always have to talk about Deb on every single one of these. This is her on her way up to Charlie's Bunyan in the Great Smoky Mountains. And if you've ever hiked it, it's a pretty difficult hike. But Deb has type 1 diabetes. Deb also has been diagnosed with osteoporosis. So this is a very difficult hike for Deb, but we made it happen. It took us 9 hours to do it. She did it, and she cried almost every step of the way, but she did it, and she felt so empowered. So even examples like that, somebody with type 1 diabetes, that is a difficult life situation for somebody. They have to have somebody kind of to monitor them on the trail, because she got a low blood sugar halfway back, and I was feeding her Skittles as we're walking just to keep her fueled, right? So do you guys have any questions for me? Yes, absolutely.
So a young woman has to be 21 before she can participate?
So the adventure grants are issued to 21 and up.
Oh,
exactly.
Go to the function.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of the events. We just did a climb night the other night, and there were kids there. As long as they had a parent with them to sign the waiver forms. And that's generally the reason why, is because a lot of these activities, you really have to deal with some serious waiver forms. So it's easier for us just to say blanket 21 on up for the recipients. But no, we do a lot of events that are super family friendly. Yeah. Yes.
I'm just curious about your Cedar Creek story.
Yeah.
But where did you guys live? Did you live in a cabin? And did the kids do homeschool, or did they go to school?
So we had a travel trailer, and at the time when we finally decided to go full, this is what we're going to do, because I left the decision up to the girls. I always did. I said, listen, if we do it this way, Mom will be with you. I'll still be off in the summers. I'll still be doing all this thing. If not, if we go to an apartment or something like that, I'm going to have to work more. So we bought a brand new travel trailer, which was pretty posh. But when you're living in it with, four women especially, you want something kind of posh. So we bought a brand new one, and that was before COVID. I was already homeschooling them, so luckily it made that transition into COVID a little bit easier, because yes, I was homeschooling them.
I have another question. I kind of have a goal that I want to backpack Twin Creek in Germantown.
Yes.
But it just seems so scary.
No.
Is there women's hiking groups that do around the area?
Absolutely. So Hope Wanders, actually, so if you want to grab a card on the way out and you can start watching our programming, some things we do are specifically for women. There are other things that we do that are for everybody. It's part of that community, creating that healthy community. But otherwise, yes, we do offer programming like that as well. Yeah, and Five Rivers Metro Parks does too, so they do a phenomenal job.
Here on Facebook, there's also a group called Adventure Chicks.
Yes.
So it's just a group of women with common interests. Okay. And you could just some of them organize things like a hike.
Yes.
Like that. Or you could say, I want to do this, who wants to do it with me? And people will just jump up and want to help you. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that, because actually Adventure Chicks was a huge donor in those two ladies they have a scholarship fund as well. And Christy Matheson, who's in charge of Adventure Chicks, I don't know why that totally skipped my mind. Yeah, so she's phenomenal as well. Yes, she would love that group. Absolutely love that group. Yeah.
Do you have another How to Cook in the Woods class?
So we have one coming up in May. And actually asking about families. So the store does events as well. I don't do quite as in depth as these trips, but the store right now we have Boots, Bonfires, and Brews, which we start here, we go out, we walk down the river, we come back up through Miamisburg Community Park. It's about 2.5 miles, and we end at Entropy Brewing. We have a little bonfire there. But we also have Treats and Trails. What's that?
And a beer.
And a beer, yes. And then there's Treats and Trails, which is the family version of that, and we end at Tom and Dot's, and they get a free gelato. Great Miami Riverway has sponsored that event to make sure that everyone gets a free gelato if they complete it. So this is, I don't think I've got the information. When you go downstairs, if you go back through the store, I've got all of the events on an event board down there, and you can scan the QR code. But there's one, next week is Boots, Bonfires, and Brews, and then the week after that will be Treats and Trails. And May 9th, we're gonna be on Dayton Living talking about it, so. Woo. So hopefully a billion people show up. I'll be like, sorry, I'm not paying for the ice cream, so yeah. But yes.
Do you have a 501c3?
Yes.
Where people can donate to you?
Yes, yeah, we sure do. And I have lots of information back there for you guys, so feel free to take any of the little things that are out there, any of the cards. That QR code goes to, we do all of our fundraising through Zephy as well, so, but we are 501c3. So, yes, good question, thank you.
How do you apply to be the camp host? How did that work?
So just be a thorn in anybody's side when you want it. So it took a lot of diligence, just call. You call the part. So I tell people to go up there. I'm like, just show up at the main office there, at any place really, and be persistent. Persistent is key with anything. That's how I got as far as I did with a lot of this stuff. I was just persistent. So, yeah.
Do you use this space for programming up here?
Yeah, I have before. We did our brunch up here, and it was a wonderful space.
I've never been up here before.
Right? Isn't it great? Yeah, and they have tables and everything, so we decorated it.
It looks like that stage has been there for a minute.
Yeah.
It's like 100-some-year-old building.
Yeah.
It used to be a market downstairs, and I don't know what this space was, but, and I don't remember when they renovated it,
I mean,
but.
that has been up there for a while
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, if you look at the archways downstairs, that's where they used to like back the wagons in to drop off, and then they had.
Auction things off up here. It's very awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause that stage looks like it's been.
Yeah, we did a ghost hunting up here. Yeah. We did a ghost hunt. We have a local lady who does ghost hunts, and so we combined it with indoor camping. And yeah, it was fun. It was really fun. Confirmed haunted.
Yeah. Friendly ghost?
Yeah, I don't know though. We did have some situations that weren't so friendly, so it wasn't to me. There was a medium here too, and she was having a rough time, so I know, right? This story really went sideways. I'm gonna release you guys. You can totally keep asking more questions.
Thank you, Jessica. I'm Mayor Brent Centers with the City of Franklin, and we are so excited to bring our events back into our downtown following the completion of our streetscape project. We will be celebrating the completion of our downtown revitalization in conjunction with our 4th of July events this year. So join us downtown for a parade, live music, vendors, food trucks, and in the evening with a rooftop fireworks show and drone display. Some other events to look forward to will be our Franklin Farmers Market, our 4th Friday on 4th Street, Warren County Customs Saturday Night Car Show, and new this year, the Ohio Valley Cruisers will do a weekly cruise-in every Tuesday night starting in May. For your next session, you can go to Plaza Theater or Riverfront Park. The Plaza Theater is located just north on Main Street next to Whitman's Bike Shop and the Blue Line across the road from Grandpa Joe's Candy Shop. Or you can go back to Riverfront Park, and both of those sessions start at the top of the hour. If this is your third session, make your way to Riverfront Park at 4 p.m. for the closing ceremony and the announcement of the 2026 Riverfront Summit. And then join us for the after hours at 4:15 at Entropy Brewing. This is hosted by the Miamisburg Merchant Association, where the light snacks and first 2 rounds are on them.